All right. Good morning, everyone. So let me begin by saying a good morning. We will be talking about toxicology, incompatibilities, and adverse drug reactions for the next 6 hours. No, I'm given 6 hours to talk about this. So let's get started. But before that, let me introduce myself pala, no? I'm Miss Althea Bahuyo. Um, I'm a registered pharmacist. I graduated in University of San Carlos. So after that, I took the boards and worked for St. Luke's Medical Center as a clinical pharmacist. And good morning, Din. So worked there for almost 3 years. Then I decided I wanted to be a lawyer. So last year I got my degree, Juris Doctor. The family wanted a doctor, pero sabi ko doctor din naman ang Juris Doctor. So um, I work no as I work now as a court officer in the regional trial court. But before that, I was in the academe no for 6 years. I worked as an assistant instructor in University of San Carlos. And I also have a background in regulatory, also in research, including a bit about ATR, incompatibilities, and toxicology. Right, so again, I'm Miss Althea, and today we will be tackling toxicology, which is part of your module 4. This is 15%. So every score counts. It's yung total, no? It will, ayan, good morning. It will really affect your entire score, no? So every subject counts. Kahit yung mga hindi nyo favorite na mga subjects, no? You still have to take care of that. Okay? So, ayan. Definition, no, toxicology, it's a study of the adverse effects of xenobiotics or yung mga biological. So, meaning, I want you to think na yung toxicology, it's the evil twin sister of pharmacology. Diba, in your pharmacology, you learn about treatment, no? You learn about their mechanism of action, how they give the therapeutic effect. For our toxicology, it's the evil twin sister because we study about the harms no, that it can give to the patient. So it's the adverse effects. That's why we study the mechanism of toxic action or the MOTA. Ayan. So it's like medicine. No? It's science and art. So it's very, the way you know more about poisons, the way you know more about treatment. It's a side by side. Okay. So, ayan, definition pa din. Can be defined as the branch of science that deals with poisons, as I've mentioned. No, your study of toxicology, it serves society in many ways. So not only to protect humans and the environment from the deleterious effects of toxicants, no, but also to facilitate yung development of more selective toxicants, such as, let's say, your pesticides, diba? These are poisons, but you have to isolate that element, no, for us to be able to target it to kill the pests. Okay, so yeah, that's a selective toxicant pesticides. Even our clinical drugs, we have to know the minimum toxic concentration, diba? So, in order for us to know what our therapeutic dose will be, tama? No? Even our anti-carcinogenics or chemotherapeutic agents, or in other terms, simpler terms, we call it um, anti-cancer drugs, no? Ayan. So, we have to isolate. We call it selective toxicants. So poison, it can be defined as any substance that causes a harmful effect when administered, either by accident or by design. So meaning there's an intent to give poison to another human being or another living organism. So let's trace, no? We have to trace Excuse me. No, we have to trace how toxicity happens. Okay? So toxicity, just like in biopharmaceutics ninyo, it's not a single molecular event, but rather a cascade of events. Yan. So drop down siya, no? Cascade of events. Okay? Ayan. Can hear me clearly naman, no? Baka salita ako ng salita, wala pa lang. Ayan. So, okay. Sige, thank you. Ayan. It's a cascade of events, no? Starting from, no? Where does it start? Parang step 1, step 2, step 3. So, I'll give you the acronym, LADMER. Naalala mo, may LADMER sa biopharm, sa pharmacokinetics. LADMER, no? Liberation, absorption, distribution, metabolism, elimination or excretion. R is for response. Here naman, sa toxicity, merong letter T sa end. Ano kaya yun, no? That's your toxic effect. Okay, so let's start with L. We have LADMERT, no? Medyo covered lang yung RT sa slide ko. L is liberation. Ano meaning nito? It's the release of the drug from its dosage form. No? So hand in hand for dosage forms ninyo na review din yung toxicity. It's the release of the drug from its dosage form. So dapat may disintegrants, 'di ba? Para mag-disintegrate yung tablet. Kasi pag ininom nyo, pag walang disintegrants, buo pa paglabas sa kabilang dulo. No? So liberation, you need the drug to be released from its dosage form. So that you'll have exposure. No? Ayan, no? Exposure. That's the exposure point. Ano naman to? Absorption. It's the movement of the drug from the site of administration, so nasa stomach na, ininom nyo na, to the blood circulation. It will be absorbed through the membranes. Ayan, so na-absorb na siya ng body. That's the exposure part of toxicity. Next step is distribution. Ano to? This is the process by which yung drug, it diffuses or is transferred from the intravascular space to the extravascular space. Again, intravascular space inside the veins, no? Inside the mga arteries yun, intravascular. Pag sinabing extravascular space, that's the body tissues na. So it's now absorbed in the muscle, distributed rather in the muscles na. So that's your distribution. LADMERT. Letter M, metabolism. So you need metabolites for this. Okay, so yung mga CYP4, CYP3A4 ninyo na mga enzymes, no? These, your cytochrome P450 na family of enzymes, they will aid in the metabolism. That's why, for example, di ba? Who in here is lactose intolerant? Because you lack the enzyme lactase, no? Which will metabolize your lactose into something that is absorbable or can be eliminated by the body na effectively or absorbed. Yun. So metabolism, you need your enzymes for this. R is response. Sa pharmacology, hanggang dito lang, no? Response. Sa toxicology, may letter T pa, and I told you kanina, it's toxic effect. No? It's the interaction with cellular macromolecules and the expression of a toxic endpoint. So, toxicity itself, it can rarely, no, if ever, be defined as a single molecular event. Again, but it is rather a cascade of events starting with exposure, tapos magdi-distribution, and then metabolism, and ending with the interaction with cellular macromolecules, usually the DNA or the protein. No, your poisons will affect your protein negatively, and the expression of what you call a toxic endpoint. All right, let's proceed. So we have two concepts of poison. We have quantitative and qualitative. So quantity and quality. For the qualitative test, result, it's either positive or negative. Yan lang, meron ba or wala? No, it's a compound toxic to one species or genetic strain may be relatively harmless to another. So it's about the quality. What could be poisonous to you might not be poisonous to me. So it's about the quality, no? About your genetic strain. A test that can estimate the amount naman, that's your quantitative quantity. No? Specimen is called quantitative test. No? Almost any substance being harmful at some doses, but at the same time being without harmful effect at some lower dose. So ito naman, it's about the dose naman, no? The quantity of the medication or the substance. We all know that that substance is toxic. It's just a matter of dose. For quality, di naman siya toxic for one, but it's toxic for another. That's why it's qualitative, no, yung concept of poison. So it involves, no, yung poison, it involves qualitative biological aspect. Because yun nga, compound, toxic to one, or one species or genetic strain may be relatively to another, may be relatively harmless to another. For example, sige, bigyan ko kayo ng example for you to understand. No? We have carbon tetrachloride, that's CCl4. No? Carbon tetrachloride. That's what you call, that is a potent hepatotoxicant. Diba? Hepatotoxicity, it attacks the liver. Hepatotoxicity. So your carbon tetrachloride, that's a potent, no? Grabe, potent hepatotoxicant, even to us human beings, no? In many species, it's a potent hepatotoxicant. However, it's relatively harmless to chickens. No? So it has been found through studies, no, that it's relatively harmless to chicken. So that's a example of qualitative poison. Also, certain strains of rabbit can eat belladonna. You remember your belladonna species, no? With impunity, no? While others cannot. So some rabbits can be killed by belladonna, some naman hindi. So qualitative siya. Okay. So, 'di ba, sa pharmacology you have mechanism of action, sa toxicology you have modes of toxic action or MOTA. Ayan. So this includes, no, the important aspects include the following. Ito 'yon. At the fundamental level of organ, no, organ toxicity, cell and molecular function of all events leading to toxicity in vivo, so sa loob, no, ng body, in vivo, pag in vitro, kaya in vitro fertilization, kasi dinala yung egg tsaka yung sperm sa labas sa petri dish, doon nagfe-fertilize, so in vitro. Pag in vivo sa loob ng body. Ayan. So it includes, no, uptake, distribution, metabolism, mode of action, and excretion. So parang LADMERT lang din. So how, no? The term mechanism of action, I'll give you the specific, no, modes of toxic action after these slides. Ayan. So that term, MOTA, is now more generally used to describe an important molecular event in the cascade of events leading from exposure to toxicity, such as the inhibition of acetylcholinesterase, in the toxicity of organophosphorus and carbamate insecticides. So if we have time, we'll talk about your organophosphates and carbamates, which is part of your industrial poisons. No? So ayan. Okay. The first one I want to emphasize is biochemical and molecular toxicology. And consider events at the biochemical and molecular levels. So it includes enzymes that metabolize xenobiotics, generation of reactive intermediates, interaction of xenobiotics like yung drugs ninyo, or their metabolites with macromolecules, gene expression, so molecular level talaga, in metabolism and modes of action, signaling pathways in toxic action, and so on. So it at a molecular level, yung ganyo, that type of toxicology. For behavioral toxicology naman, this deals with the effects of toxicants on an animal or human behavior, which is the final integrated expression of nervous function in the intact animal. So final, because you remember the cascade, the last step there is toxic endpoint. And this involves both the peripheral and central nervous system, as well as effects mediated by other organ systems, such as your endocrine glands and yung endocrine system nyo. Pag may patient na diabetic, no, the first um, type of service that you will go to ng mga doctor is endocrinologist. No? Bakit ba? Yung mga insulin dyan, mga adrenal glands and all, it's the endocrinologist that takes care of that. Okay. Nutritional toxicology, ito naman, no, about the diet. So, expression of toxicity and with the mechanisms of these effects. It deals with the effects of diet. So, behavioral, nutritional. Ito, carcinogenesis. From the suffix genesis, no, it will generate, it will begin, it will start. Carcino. No? When you say carcino, di ba, carcinogens, to about cancer. So, carcinogenesis, this includes the chemical, biochemical, and molecular events that lead to the large number of effects on cell growth, collectively known as cancer. So, carcino. Teratogenesis, ito naman, pag terato, ayan, no? Includes the chemical, biochemical, and molecular events that lead to deleterious effects on development. So usually sa mga infants or mga embryo, fetus. Yan, so teratogenesis. Mutagenesis naman, to mutant, no? Yung sa mga movies na pinapanood nyo, mutants, because it will affect the genetic material of a human being or an animal and the inheritance of these effects. And so mutagenesis. Organ toxicity naman, no, considers effects at the level of organ function. So ito yung mga, alam yung side effects sa pharmacology, neurotoxicity. So it's toxic to the brain, no, CNS. Hepatotoxicity sa liver. How about nephrotoxicity sa kidneys? Ototoxicity, ano naman to? Sa ears, di ba? So, ototoxicity. Okay. So we go back to history of toxicology. This is a part of your materials, no, to help you in the board exam. Ewan ko ba, hindi dapat kalimutan pa din yung mga taong nakadiscover ng toxicology. Even in some of your modules, you'll encounter some people's names, no, for you to also include in your study. So let's go through the history of toxicology before we go to the proper discussion on poisons. All right? So let's starting with antiquity, tapos punta tayo sa Middle Ages, tapos merong Renaissance, tapos Age of Enlightenment, and after World War II. So natapos yung World War II 1945. So the year after that, that's including us, no, in the today's world, no, after World War II na tayo. Antiquity, so napaka-dated back pa, no? Ayan, so toxicology dates back to the earliest humans who used animal venom and plant extracts for hunting, warfare, and assassination. So, they discovered, no, from animal venom that they can use it, or even plant extracts. They can use it to kill. No? So, kung mga hunting, warfare, and assassination. So in China, let's go to China 3,000 years ago. No, monk's hood. Because I'll show you a picture later on. No? It really looks like a hood of the monk. And or another name nito is aconitum. No, there's also arsenic and opium. They have been known for more than 3,000 years. And so the Ebers papyrus or papyrus, however you pronounce it, that's circa 1500 BC. I don't think it's important naman yung mga years, no? Kasi I just remember lang, Ebers papyrus. It contains information. Kasi papyrus, that's paper, di ba? Diyan galing yung name ng paper. So it contains information pertaining to many recognized poisons, including hemlock, Sige lang, I'll talk about hemlock later. Aconite and opium. Oh, you know opium from your opioid na mga medications. And metals such as lead, copper, and antimony. The first person that we will be talking about is Theophrastus. So si Theophrastus, he was the one who included numerous references to poisonous plants in his book, or um, they call it treaty kasi no, treaty. No? So, De Historia Plantarum. Yan. Pag si Theophrastus, associate niya na siya sa book niya na De Historia Plantarum. Yan. So ito nga yung aconitum or yung monk's hood, or it's also called wolf's bane. And the scientific name niya dyan ay Aconitum napellus. Okay, so all parts of the plant, especially the roots, contain toxins. Okay, so aconitin, that's the most dangerous of these toxins. And it's most noted as a heart poison, no? So what do you mean by that? Cardiotoxic. Kasi cardiotoxic siya. Heart poison. Okay? But it's also a potent nerve poison. So neurotoxic naman siya, no? Ayan. So the important thing you have to pick up from this slide is aconitin. That's the most dangerous toxin in aconitum. Parang maa-associate nyo naman siya, no? From aconitum to aconitin. And from the picture, you can remember that Aconitum napellus, also known as monk's hood and wolf's bane, is also called as purple poison. From the color niya kasi, purple poison. Minsan sa exam nilalagay lang purple poison. Tas may choices na agad. So you now know it's Aconitum napellus, or also known as monk's hood and wolf's bane. It's a cardiotoxic, it's a nerve poison, and the most dangerous of these toxins is aconitin. Let's proceed. Next person, nasa antiquity pa tayo. Antiquity era. Ayan. Dioscorides of Anazarbos. So that's a place. Anazarbos. That's how they call people, no? Parang of ganito ganyan. Dioscorides of Anazarbos. Okay. So in AD, Anno Domini 60, Greek physician si Dioscorides, he described the toxic effects of mandrake, no? Or M. officinarum, Mandragora officinarum. I have a slide of that next to this naman. So may encyclopedia si Dioscorides na De Materia Medica. No? So in your notes, you have to put them side by side. Do you remember the di ba si author Theophrastus, ano nga yun? De Historia Plantarum. Si Dioscorides, ano ulit? De Materia Medica. Doon na, he described the toxic effects of mandrake. Okay, so if you watched Harry Potter, mandrake was in there. Kasi they look like they have arms, no? And then, parang when there's really this belief dati, mga ito nga, mga sa antiquity era, no, na when you tawag dito, when you get the mandrake from the soil, they will scream, no, and make you deaf, no? Mga sabi-sabi lang, no, sa mga matatanda, ayan. And it's passed on to our generation. Yan. Dioscorides made the first attempt at classifying poisons into plant poison, animal poison, and mineral poison. So that's good, no? He attempted Dioscorides. Next is Pliny the Elder and Galen. You know Galen from your Galenicals. Yeah? Okay. So they describe the poisonous effects of opium, henbane, which I will be having another slide then because I want to emphasize on it. No, Hyoscyamus species naman yung kanyang scientific name. Poison hemlock and mercury. Ayan. So, ito pala, one thing to take note about Pliny the Elder. So, si Pliny, during their time, suicide, no, trigger warning, no, by poison was not common. No, but Pliny the Elder, he defended euthanasia by poison in the elderly when so desired. So in your legal pharmacy and ethics, you will learn, no, na euthanasia is illegal in the Philippines. It's not ethical or legal. There's no law about it here in the Philippines. It's not allowed. So yun. So Pliny the Elder looked into it and said na it's okay daw for euthanasia basta daw sa mga elderly when so desired. And you know Galen again from Galenicals. Ayan. Mandragora officinarum or mandrake. Here's a picture of it na para daw may arms and legs. No? And then some people would hallucinate and para daw may face siya. And then hair yung sa leaves. No? Can you see what I'm talking about? Ayan. So it was used as a soporific. Ano naman yung soporific? Sleep-inducing. No? Maarting ano lang, term. No? Pag sinabing sleep-inducing, soporific. Parang pag sleepy ka na, no? I'm so soporific na, sleep-inducing. And pain-killing din pala yung plant no, for many hundreds of years. So it can make you sleep, it's a sedative, and it's also an analgesic. So mandrake is a powerful narcotic, emetic din siya, no? Sedative, and hallucinogen. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, nag-hallucinate yung mga tao na it will scream daw when they take it out of the soil. And it can easily lead to death. Ayan. It's actually the root of the plant. And so Hyoscyamus species or Hyoscyamus muticus or yung black henbane. Ayan. So henbane was used to treat ear aches, rheumatism, sciatica, and insomnia until relatively recently. They do not want us to use this na, no? Because this was known as the witch's herb. Oh, may another name na naman. One tip I want to give you pala is when you study, you also have to know ano yung mga also known as. Oh, yan. Naalala niyo pa yung purple poison na I talked about? That's your aconitum, no? Aconitin. Yan. So, or monk's hood or wolf's bane. Ito naman, si henbane, pareho silang bane, witch's herb naman yung tawag sa kanila before. Because it's one of the major ingredients used in an ointment that gave the hallucinatory sensation of flying. Alam niyo yung witches na sumasakay ng broom tapos lumilipad-lipad? Ganun daw yung feeling. Kasi ang nangyayari, henbane is a hallucinogen. It induces a sense of body suspension. So parang lutang ka talaga. You feel like you were flying, no? And flight, no? You're hallucinating. But on the next day, the person would remember nothing of what had happened. It's because of the effect of these plants, no? Ayan. So it's a hallucinatory sensation of flying. So also known as witch's herb. Okay. Other people na naman, Socrates. Alam niyo to siya from philosophy. So he's a philosopher. So yung mga tao dati, kapag sobrang talino, ewan ko, yung mga scholars, ina-assassinate nila, yung mga ganun, ine-execute. Siguro, pag sinabi ng king, yung mga ganong stories, no, na, uy, napakatalino naman ito, daming alam. So, ang nangyari dito, Socrates, yung ending ng life ni Socrates is through a method of execution. Kasi yun nga yung entertainment dati, di ba? Di ba, alam niyo yung mga, yung sa mga movies, di ba? Yung mga other types of execution. For Socrates, sa kanya, easy lang, no? Pinainom lang, siya yung pumili na gusto niyang uminom ng cup of hemlock as his way of execution. Ayan. So, cup of hemlock. Scientific name ng hemlock ay Conium maculatum extract. Okay. So, Socrates is the best-known recipient of poison used as a state method of execution. So, yun, cup of hemlock, Conium maculatum, yung ating scientific name. Okay. So, ito naman, King Mithridates the sixth, di ba? No, or Mithridates, kung slang. And so, conducted acute toxicity experiments on criminals. Ito, in our day-to-day, this would be unethical. No? Because the king wanted to experiment on poisons. And the lab rats that the king used are the criminals in their dungeons. So kapag in today's world, bawal na to, of course, di ba? So yung na-formulate niya na book or treaty from that unethical toxicity experiment on criminals, kawawa naman, no? Yun, so, Lex Cornelia de Sicariis et Beneficiis. May mga Latin-Latin tayo dito. Pero yung translation yan, Cornelia Law on Assassins and Poisoners. Yan. So, the first law, that's the first law against poisoning, and it later became a regulatory statute directed at careless dispensers of drugs. So yun yung mga apothecaries during that time. Hippocrates. Eto, when you proceed to medicine, if some of you would like to proceed to medicine, this is your father. No, father of modern medicines, Hippocrates. You've heard about the Hippocratic Oath. And a part therein of Hippocratic Oath, it says, I will not give a lethal drug to anyone if I am asked, nor will I advise such a plan. And similarly, I will not give a woman a pessary to cause an abortion. Ano nga yung pessary? That's a vaginal suppository. Okay. In your dosage forms, you'll learn more about that na may tatlong types of, modes of routes ng inyong suppository. The most common one is rectal, di ba? Tapos vaginal, or other name nito ay pessary. Tapos meron ding urethral. So yun yung tatlong yun. Si Hippocrates, dito, no, I will not give a lethal drug to anyone if I'm asked, nor will I advise such a plan. Tapos kapag may you don't want to cause abortion naman, no, I will not give a woman a pessary to cause abortion. That's part of the oath of doctors because again, Hippocrates is the father of modern medicine. Okay, hemlock. Ito nga ulit yung mode of execution na pinili ni Socrates. So, Conium maculatum, yung kanyang scientific name. So, historically, poison hemlock was used as medicine, no, to treat muscle spasms, cause sedation, as well as being applied to tumors. No? You can see in the picture, it looks very harmless. No? It's like a flower. And then, the people would mistake it for something edible. So, they would like to mix it with their cooking. Tapos, hindi nila alam na it's actually a poison. They call it poison hemlock. That's how it got its name. But it is most famously known for the method of death chosen by Socrates in 399 BC. No need to know about the year again. So people usually do not eat it intentionally, as I've mentioned, no, but rather it is often misidentified as something edible. But for me, it looks like flowers. So parang pang decorate siya. No? Hindi siya pang kain. Ayan. Middle Ages na tayo, tapos na pala tayo sa Antiquity. Middle Ages, no? Let's go to another era. Ayan. Si Maimonides, another person, included a treatise. No? Kanina ko pa I mentioned treatise multiple times. So that's how you spell it, no? Treatise on the treatment of poisoning from insects, snakes, and mad dogs. So now we know that the poison from mad dogs, no, yun yung rabies. Yan. So in the Middle Ages, si Maimonides ang naka-discover nun or naghanap ng treatment for rabies, mad dogs. And so you call his treatise on poisons and their antidotes. Year 1198. And describe bioavailability, noting that milk, butter, and cream could delay intestinal absorption. You could just imagine, no, how he discovered that. Maybe he extracted, you know how unethical it was before. Kaya, maybe, I don't know, no, how he discovered that milk, butter, and cream could delay intestinal absorption. Ayan. So out of all of the people I will be talking about, this is the only female one, si Catherine de Medici. Catherine de Medici actually, no, a little slice of history. She's part of a royal family or something. She was a queen of France pala. So, and married to King Henry. And why I'm telling you this? Because only those na in the mga royal family and all could have the liberty, no, of doing this. No, she tested and carefully studied the effects of various toxic concoctions. Madaming budget si Catherine de Medici on the proper and sick. Noting the onset of action, so siya yung nag-note nito, no, na meron palang onset of action, meron tayong tinatawag na potency, site of action, clinical signs and symptoms, meron pang rapidity of toxic response, no, so pwedeng the next day pa yung toxic response, effectiveness of the compound, degree of response, you can see it on the slide, degree of response of different parts of the body. So meron kasing, di ba, hepatotoxic lang, hindi naman siya harmful sa heart, no? So yun, mga degree of response. And also complaints of the victim. So meaning, ito kasi si Catherine de Medici, Queen of France, nung dating-dati. So pwede siyang makakuha ng mga layman, mga tao, no? And then let them drink the poison. Kawawa naman, no? So yun parang unethical na ulit. So in today's standards, Catherine de Medici is called an early experimental toxicologist. Napaka-experimental nitong si Catherine de Medici. Ayan. Naisip ko nga din sa kanya ba galing yung medicine na word, no? Pero hindi pala, no? May parang Latin or something na iba pa. So, pero ang ganda naman, no? De Medici. Yan. Let's go to the Renaissance. Ayan, album ni Beyonce. Ito, di ba? Renaissance era. So, next era, so the history of medical toxicology is closely connected with the history of forensic toxicology. So, ito yung forensic toxicology. Ito yung nakikita nyo sa movies, no? Yung mga forensic scientists, no? They perform ng autopsy. And to know ano yung kill, no? It was the victim killed by poison. So they would open up the victim. And so the proper diagnosis daw of poisoning always has been and still is linked to the detection and identification of the poison. So basically, no, we just need to detect what kind of poison, no? And you identify, um, rather detect if there really is a poison. So if there's a poison, you have to identify what kind of poison that is. And from there, you can now know the antidote. We'll reach antidotes later. So in antiquity, dito, before, di ba, antiquity, the autopsies were generally forbidden. Bakit? For religious and spiritual reasons. Kasi daw, di ba, body temple yun, and we don't want to open up, no? Something that's already no longer alive. Ayan. But in the Renaissance era, that's 14th to 17th century, allowed na siya, no? Meron ng mga, it was only in the 15th century that the Roman Catholic Church no longer objected to them. Sa ibang religions nga, they don't perform wake, di ba? Parang um, sa mga ilang days pa or 7 days that you put a wake for it, no, for the deceased body na. So, yun nga, it was in the 15th century na allowed na daw mag-autopsy. Although, until now, I think some would not allow this. No? Kasi nga depende sa family if they will allow it or not. Okay. Kasi the forensic scientists naman cannot open pa din without the consent of the family. So that's for our modern times ngayon, ha? All right. So here's a quote. I want to refresh your memory because I hope, no, and I think you've learned about this. That it says, all substances are poisons. There is none which is not a poison. The right dose differentiates a poison from a remedy. So you're familiar with that? Because the person that said that is your Lolo Paracelsus. Ayan. It's a quote by Paracelsus. In short, ayan sa baba, only the dose makes the poison. Ayan. In Latin, doses sola facit venenum. Ayan. So doses is dose. Ayan. I think facet is make. No? So only the dose makes the poison. So itong si Paracelsus, nung first year kayo, baka pinamemorize sa inyo yung name niya. Philippus Aureolus Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim. Ang daming letter H nung kanyang apelyido. So in short, Paracelsus. Yan. He integrated toxicology into medicine. Kasi dati parang poisons lang yung study. But now, he integrated it into something that you can isolate, no? Selective toxicants. And regarded as one of the first representatives of scientific thinking, si Paracelsus. He developed the paradigm of allopathy. Ayan, so conventional medicine. Okay? So, yun. The first recognition of the relationship between the dose of a compound and the response elicited has been attributed to Paracelsus. Yung parang dose-based na medications, dose-based na treatment, it was attributed now to Paracelsus. So, he said na only the dose makes the poison. The right dose differentiates a poison from a remedy. Yan. So he focused on the primary toxic agent as a chemical entity. And he also did experimentation and said that it's the essential part of the examination of responses to chemicals. And he also said that one should make a distinction between the therapeutic and toxic effects or properties of chemicals. Kasi nga, only the dose makes the poison. So, you will really go back to that quote from Paracelsus or Philippus Aureolus Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim. Ayan. So, these properties are sometimes but not always indistinguishable except by dose. And lastly, one can ascertain a degree of specificity of chemicals and their therapeutic or toxic effects. So ano yung mga keywords na ginamit ni Paracelsus? Experimentation. Gusto niya din distinction. So you have to identify, distinguish the therapeutic and toxic properties. Ayan. And then dose. He's always about the dose. And specificity of chemicals and their therapeutic or toxic effects. More names, Malapit na tayong maubusan naman ng names, So, Ellen Bogue. To warned the toxicity of mercury and lead from goldsmithing. So, yung mga gumagawa ng gold, naghuhulma ng gold, ng jewelry, So, yun, goldsmithing. And then, diba, gumagamit sila ng iba-ibang chemicals for them to clean or ano pa kaya yung mga processes nila involved in goldsmithing. Next person, we have Agricola. He published a short treatise on mining diseases in 1556. So, usong-uso yung mines dati, miners. And however, the major work on the subject on miner sickness and other diseases of miners was already published by Paracelsus. So, nauna na si Paracelsus. Ito naman si Bernardino Ramazzini, which I think is Italian, but I'm not sure. Ramazzini. Ayan. Advanced occupational toxicology naman yung kanyang sinustudy. So you associate Ramazzini with advanced occupational toxicology. He is the father of kanino? Father of occupational medicine. Itong si Ramazzini. Okay, so ilang fathers na ba yung na-tackle natin? Si Hippocrates, father of modern medicine. Si Paracelsus, he was also attributed as father of toxicology. But later on, you learn about the father of modern toxicology. Iba naman siya. So, si father of occupational medicine, si Ramazzini. Important din itong mga trivia na to, ha? It's also helpful in the board exam. So, Bernardino Ramazzini, he published the discourse on the diseases of workers. So what did you notice about this slide? What's the common denominator about Ellen Bogue, Agricola, and Ramazzini? You can see there, na all of them are studying about occupational toxicology. For Ellen Bogue, the goldsmiths. For Agricola, the miners. Ito namang si Ramazzini, for the workers din, toxicology. So all of them, no, these three for this slide, they focus on occupational toxicology. So you remember, no, yung mercury because it can damage the nervous system, kidneys, no, liver, and immune system. So that's why yung mga thermometers natin wala ng mercury content, di ba? So digital thermometers na tayo. If you remember, no, baka um, Gen Z na ang mga nandito. No? So, if some of you don't know, mercury dati, no, yung gray na substance. Kasi when heat will be applied to it, no, or something, yan, it will, tataas siya, it will increase, no, and then it will now measure the temperature. Pero ang nangyayari kasi, when the glass thermometer with mercury inside would break, there would be mercury exposure to the household kasi it's available in the household. But the thing is, mercury can damage the nilang nervous system, it can damage the kidneys, the liver, immune system. And when you breathe, no, mercury vapors, it can now harm your lungs ulit. Ay, also, no, lungs and kidneys. And mercury vapors can easily pass from the lungs to the bloodstream. So that's very harmful nga. Next era, Age of Enlightenment. So I mentioned about the father of modern toxicology. And I want you to meet Matthew Joseph Bonaventure Orfila. Ayan. So si Orfila, Spaniard ito, no? Bonaventure, Matthew Joseph Orfila. So he is generally regarded as the father of modern toxicology. And he clearly identified toxicology as a separate science. And in 1815, he first his first book developed exclusively to toxicology. So he has this book, no, which was entitled A General System of Toxicology, or a treatise on poisons found in the mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdom. So you don't need to memorize that naman. No? So just know that Orfila is the father of modern toxicology. And his first work is Traite de Poisons. Ayan, kung how you pronounce it. But in translation, that's a treatise on poisons. Okay. So he was the first toxicologist to use autopsy material and chemical analysis systemically as legal proofing of poisoning. He published his first major work and which was devoted expressly to the toxicity of natural agents. Ano ba yung mga natural agents? Yung sa mga vegetables, ayan, mga animal kingdoms, animal venom. Next person is Claude Bernard. Si Claude Bernard, you associate him with arrows. No, I'll have a picture later. I'll have a slide about curare. Because curare or curare, no? I just pronounce it as curare na lang para you can also think about the spelling, no? Curare, arrow poisons. Now, its absorption and distribution in the body, published an introduction to the study of experimental medicine. So he began the modern study of MOTAC, no? Mechanism of Toxic Action. Sino yun? Si Claude Bernard. Ito yun. Arrow poisons. Sa mga tribes, 'di ba? Kapag they have a bow and arrow, no, hunting arrows, and they put poison on the end part. So yan, si curare, also called D. tuberculare. Ayan. So yung kanyang scientific name, Strychnos toxifera or Strychnos castellanea. Ayan, it's the first paralytic used in anesthesia. Highly toxic substance used by certain indigenous tribes in South America to poison their hunting arrows. Kaya nga si Claude Bernard, ito yung kanyang sinustudy. So a purified version now of curare is called intocostrin. You take note of these substances. Intocostrin was first used as a muscle relaxant during surgery in January 1942. No? So in 1940s, meaning before World War. Kasi kailan nga nag-end yung World War? 1942. Ay, 1945. World War II. Ayan. So in a 20-year-old man, having his appendix removed, so what did they use again? Intocostrin. That's a purified version of your curare. Okay? Kasi nga, paralytic si curare. So you need a purified version. So as to target talaga, anesthesia. Curare was subsequently replaced by more modern neuromuscular blockers, and you've heard about pancuronium. So wala nang curare, I think, no, in the hospitals because we're now more on modern usage na. So we have James Marsh, was the inventor of the blank, no, Marsh test. No, so si Marsh, ayan, si Marsh. Ayan, Marsh. Ang kanyang na-invent ay si Marsh test. Ano naman yung Marsh test? Which I hope you've heard of, ha? You've had it in your undergrad. No? This was first used in 1832 for detecting arsenic poisoning. So you please associate James Marsh, Marsh test, and arsenic. Yan. So your Marsh test is used to detect arsenic. Okay? So I hope that's clear na. Poisoning in a murder trial in England. So meaning the Marsh test was first used what's the first use of toxicology in a jury trial. Okay? 'Di ba alam niyo yung mga cases no pinapatulfo or cases na the wife poisoned the husband. Ganon. So it needs proof in court so that the wife will be convicted of killing the husband. So, paano pag, for example, arsenic yung ginamit ng wife. So, we use Marsh test, and then that will be presented in court. So, that's what happened in 1832. They used the Marsh test to prove that there was really arsenic poisoning in a murder trial in England. Ano ba kasi yung arsenic? So, it rhymes, okay? I want you to remember, arsenic is carcinogenic. Okay? So it can cause lung and skin cancers and may cause other cancers din, no? And they saw that chronic arsenic exposure and cancer is strongest for skin, lung, and bladder na cancer. But mostly lung and skin, yung arsenic poisoning. Okay. Justus von Liebig or Liebig. Ayan. Di naman tayo pinapa-pronounce sa board exam, no? So, tingnan nyo na lang yung spelling, tsaka shading nyo, no? Ayan. So, the importance of research into the relationship of cause and effect was recognized by him, no? Justus von Liebig. And then, this is the last person. Finally, no? Rudolf Buchheim. Ayan, introduced animal experiments to medicine in 1847. So I want to emphasize, this part of my lecture, I want to emphasize on Marsh test. No, kasi this is a good point to ask no, in the board exam. So it's a method no, for detecting the presence of arsenic in human tissue. Now it uses zinc and sulfuric acid to create arsine gas. Now this test is really highly sensitive. Even small levels of arsenic can be detected. So here's an illustration. Ayan, just to further understand what Marsh test is. So here you can find, ayan sa taas, no? There's sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Then there on the flask, you have zinc granules. So these are the two things that you need in a Marsh test. You might be asked, no? What are these two substances that is used in the Marsh test to detect arsenic? Answer nyo ay sulfuric acid and zinc granules. So, here in the illustration, within the flask, merong zinc, no? And then, you put the arsenic solution, no? The solution, or let's say the sputum kaya, no, of the person, or any specimen that you feel like merong arsenic. You mix it in the zinc, in the flask, no, with the zinc, and then you pour the H2SO4 or sulfuric acid. You let it pass through heat. Ayan, you can see there the burner. It will form a shiny metallic ring. And it will form hydrogen gas, hydrogen flame. So these two things are the endpoints that you want to know you want to see in Marsh test. The shiny metallic ring. Ano ba tong shiny metallic ring? That is your arsenic. Okay? Ayan. So arsenic oxide yung inyong ring. Or rather arsenic nga ulit. To yield arsine. The hydrogen, can you see it clearly? Ayan, apparatus for Marsh test. So your sulfuric acid, it's added to the zinc metal in the flask and the solution containing arsenic. And it will now produce the hydrogen flame, hydrogen gas, when it passes through the heat and it decomposes to elemental arsenic. So that's your Marsh test. Sino nga ulit yun? Si James Marsh. After World War II, so there were two events that brought toxicology into a new phase. So merong formalization of the experimental program for the appraisal of food, drug, and cosmetic safety. In our world today, meron na tayong FDA standards, right? Mga FDA regulations. Actually, yung FDA, meron talaga silang mga center for each of these, no? May center for cosmetic research, regulation and research. Iba din yung center for food, regulation, research. Meron ding drug regulation and research, and even devices. So, ayun, for now, now, meron na tayong formalization na talaga ng mga experimental programs. Second, there's this what you call Gordon Research Conference. This one, di ba, may mga conventions. So this one was in yun nga, after World War II, 200 conferences per year ang nangyayari. And all these scientists and toxicologists would convene in a convention and they will establish standards. So that was an event that brought toxicology into a new phase. That's where we are now, modern. All right. So before we go past history, I want to talk about naka-chiller font yan, scary font, the thalidomide incident. So I always say they say na you don't get to graduate pharmacy without hearing about thalidomide incident. Kasi in one way or another, it will really be tackled in any of your subjects. So tama, no? The thalidomide incident, they also call it the thalidomide tragedy. Ano bang nangyari dito? Ito. So again, let's review lang. No? So yung thalidomide, they thought it was a scientific discovery that the mummies would no longer experience morning sickness. So they gave it to the pregnant women. And so, when the time came that they will have their labor na, they found that the babies had a defect. No? So, phocomelia yung tawag. Ano ba yung phocomelia? Ayan, sa second bullet. It occurs through a severe shortening of the limbs due to proximal elements, like your long bones, being reduced or missing and leaving distal elements like hand plate in place. So they're in the illustration. So phocomelia remains the most striking limb deformity caused by thalidomide and remains a stereotypical image of thalidomide embryopathy. So yun nga, no? It's really important, and that's why when we administer medications to pregnant women, hindi na basta-basta, no? You need to study about it. Because that's why your pregnant women, it's part of the special populations. You can use this in your other subjects also. Merong 3 main special populations in pharmacology or in medication management. We have, starting with the pregnant women. Kasi nga, You don't have to think only of the mommy, you also have to think of the embryo or the fetus development, no? In ayan. So you also have geriatrics. And so for geria, for old or elderly. For pediatrics naman, for um, children. And bakit ba? Kasi yung geriatrics, their organs are now deteriorating. And the organs don't function well. No? So you have to adjust the medication or anything about medication management. For pediatrics, bakit sila special population? You have to take more consideration when it comes to them. No? Hindi lang yung adult dosing. Normal dosing, you just give it to them. Hindi, di ba? It's mostly weight-based. Bakit? Kasi yung pediatrics, their organs are still developing. So opposite sila. Still developing sila, si geriatrics deteriorating na. For pregnant mommies, bakit sila part of the special population? Kasi meron ka pang kailangan i-consider, si baby. Ayun, hindi lang si mommy yung i-consider mo. All right. So here are some terms na I want us to go through. So this is only 2 slides, okay? So we have here intoxication. No, it is the toxicity associated with any chemical substance. Intoxication. Like when you say alcohol intoxication. Ayan. The potential of a substance to cause poisoning is defined by the sum of all essential intoxication. Next, you have this term poisoning. How it is used in toxicology. So it is a clinical toxicity to accidental exposure. So there was a poisoning that happened. Ayan. Poison, ito naman, sabi nga ni Paracelsus, only the dose makes the poison. So yung poison, it's a substance that may be harmful to living organisms, particularly humans. Sensitivity. No, you've heard about hypersensitivity, yung mga allergies ninyo. No? So sensitivity, it is the reaction of the organism to the substance. Exposure, that's the introduction of the poison to the system. So let's go through it lang, ha? Yung hazard or danger, ito I want to tackle hazard. Kasi pag sinabing hazard, it's the likelihood lang, no, that injury will occur in a given situation or setting. Pag sinabing toxicity or toxic, no, you really know that the substance has this toxic effect. And then, when you pair it with hazard, what's the likelihood of getting injury from that toxic na substance? Hazard. Let's compare it with the risk. Yung risk naman is the expected frequency of the occurrence of an undesirable effect arising from exposure to a chemical or physical agent. Yung risk, it's quantifiable. You can express it as a percentage or as the unit risk. No? 1 per 1 million. It's quantifiable. It's describable. You can describe it as risk factor X, risk factor D, category D. Ayan. For hazard, it's just the likelihood. Will it cause injury or not? Is it hazardous? Ayan. So I hope you get the contrast. No? For toxin, what's the difference between a toxin and a toxicant? For toxin, it generally refers to toxic substances that are produced by biological systems such as plants, animals, fungi, and bacteria. Very common example in the market right now is botulinum toxin, Botox. Ayan, no? So it's produced by biological systems. Si toxicant naman, it's also a toxic substance, but it is produced by or byproducts of anthropogenic or human activities. Okay? Pag plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, toxin. Pag sa humans, toxicant. Okay. So you can use that, no, maybe in some questions just to compare. Ano ba yung toxin? Ano ba yung toxicant? So pag toxicant, no, sa tao, anthropogenic, human activities. Okay. Branches of toxicology. Are you still with me, no? We will have a break naman, no? In a little while. Yan. So, branches of toxicology, ito yun. Descriptive, mechanistic, forensic, toxicogenomic. Meron pa akong next slide dito. Madaming branches of toxicology. So starting with descriptive toxicology, it's concerned with toxicity testing, which provides necessary information for safety and evaluation and regulatory requirements. So you describe, no, descriptive. Okay. For mechanistic toxicology, it's about the mechanism of toxic action or the MOTA. It's concerned with that, no, mechanistic toxicology of poison, cellular, in a level na, cellular level, biochemical level, molecular level. Ito yung interesting, forensic toxicology. Ito yung mga nag-autopsy, no? It's concerned with the medico-legal aspects of the harmful effects of chemicals on humans and animals. So it's concerned with the legal consequences of poisoning. Consequences. Ayan. Forensic toxicology. Si toxicogenomic naman, it identifies and protect genetically susceptible individuals from harmful environmental exposure. Ito, toxicogenomic. Diba, have you heard of pharmacogenomics? That's a new addition to the practice. Kasi there's pharmacovigilance, bago lang yan, siguro mga 2010s or later, no? Pharmacovigilance. Meron na ngayong pharmacogenomics in the Philippines, but it's not so rampant yet. Studies lang siya. The thing about pharmacogenomics, it really gives you the medication based on your genetic strain. Oh, grabe. So, genetic level, no? Kung ano yung DNA mo, ita-target talaga for ano yung dose and medication that will be given to you. But we don't have that here in the Philippines yet, no? Baka kasi mahal yung mga machine just to read the genetics or the genes and all and to build the medication specific for your genes. So in the same way, toxicogenomic, no, it's about the genetically na level na talaga, no, identifies, no, who are those susceptible individuals in a genetic standpoint na harmful from harmful environmental exposure. Descriptive, mechanistic, forensic, and toxicogenomic. Other branches pa of toxicology. So we have ecotoxicology. It focuses especially on the impact of toxic substances on population dynamics in an ecosystem. From the root word din naman, eco, no? So ecosystem, environment. Ito, reproductive toxicology. So this is a study of the occurrence of adverse effects on the male or female reproductive system that may result from exposure to chemical or physical agents. So there are some substances that can cause sterility, meaning they can no longer produce, no? So that's part of reproductive toxicology. Developmental toxicology, ito, about the lifespan of the individual. Nagde-develop nga, no? So it's a study of adverse effects on developing organism that occurs anytime during the lifespan of an individual. Teratology sa babies naman, no? Teratology. So it is the study of defects during development between conception and birth. Okay? So for economic toxicology, this is devoted to the development, use, and consequences of chemicals on biological system. So ito nga, ecotoxicology, reproductive toxicology, developmental toxicology, teratology, and economic toxicology. So we proceed now to toxicology and society. Now, the knowledge about the toxicological effects dito of a compound, it will affect the consumer products, the drugs, the manufacturing processes, waste cleanup, regulatory action, civil disputes, and broad policy decisions. So, meaning, no, what I want us to learn about this slide is to see that hindi lang sa medicine yung ating toxicology. It's also applied, no, in the society. And how do we see it? Yun, mga waste cleanup, civil disputes, meaning yung mga industrial poisons, di ba? Industrial toxicity. Yan. So it can cause that. And then we have this concept. So are you still with me? No, we'll proceed with this concept. Spectrum of undesired effects. Ano nga ulit yung spectrum? So meaning, there's this 1 point and 1 point, somewhere in between, dyan yung spectrum. Okay? Yan yung ating spectrum. Parang measurement siya, no? Kung alin dyan sa one level and another point. Yan. So, somewhere in there, yung ating spectrum of undesired effects. Okay. So, toxicity is a relative event that depends not only on the toxic properties of the chemical and the dose administered, but also on individual and interspecific variation in the metabolic processing of the chemical. Okay, so toxicity is relative talaga, no? Relative event that depends on not only the toxic properties of the chemical, but also the dose administered and also the individual. So meaning, madaming factors. That's why it's a spectrum of undesired effects. It doesn't mean na 100% talaga it will be poisonous to you. Baka pwedeng 97% lang kasi medyo immune ka ng 3%. Ayan. So it's a spectrum of undesired effects. All right. So the concept of spectrum, it's often broad, but you will break it down. Ayan. So we will try to simplify it, no, and focus on what you need to take note when it comes to spectrum. Ayan. So in therapeutics, for example, each drug produces a number of effects. Ayan, but usually only one effect is associated with the primary objective of the therapy. All the other effects are referred to as undesirable or side effects. See, for example, therapeutics, that's the opposite of toxicology. Kasi therapeutics, you want treatment. For toxicology, you want poison. You study about the adverse effects. Example, you know about prednisone? That's a steroid, di ba? Prednisone. It's anti-inflammatory. But at the same time, it's immunocompromising. Are you getting what I'm saying, no? So, siguro, you want the anti-inflammatory effect. That's your primary objective of the therapy. But at the same time, you will get the immunocompromising effect din. So that's the undesirable or side effect dyan. Okay? So that's a spectrum of undesired effects. Another example. Don't know how you were taught to pronounce it, but you were taught digoxin or digoxin. Ayan ha. It's a medication, diba, used to manage and treat heart failure. But at the same time, it is also cardiotoxic, no? That's ironic nga. Kasi digoxin is a medication used to manage and treat heart failure and certain arrhythmias and abortion. And it is in the cardiac glycoside na class of drugs. Pero, since it is narrow therapeutic index na medication, I know you know about that, no? That's cardiotoxic. Yeah, that's the brand name, no? Cardiotoxic din siya. That's how ironic it is. So I mentioned narrow therapeutic index. So the next slide, I want us to learn about the minimum effective concentration and the minimum toxic concentration. Okay. Sige. Let's go through it. First, ano ba tong clinical drug study? In your clinical pharmacy na review, no, you will encounter mga phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Ayan, so si clinical drug study, it's the determination of a drug's safe and effective dose that started in phase 2, ends in phase 3. And then, you can also get from there the toxic na profile of your medication or investigational drug. O si dose, ano ba yung dose? The drug, no? That's the optimal effect at the lowest dose possible because the dose makes the poison. So, MEC and MTC, your minimum effective concentration and your minimum toxic concentration. Ano ba to? I'll give you the illustration after this. So, ayan. So, provided na naman, no? MEC, or your minimum effective concentration, that's your drug serum concentration that can be expected to produce the desired effects. So let's say, for example, I have a medication, and at 5 milligrams, it can already give me my effective concentration. It can already give the response that I want for therapy. Minimum toxic concentration, MTC, drug serum concentration that produce dose-related toxicity. So, di ba, yung medication that I said, 5 milligrams MEC. At that 5 milligrams, I can already see the therapy that I want, no? The therapeutic effect. However, at 75 milligrams, I can already see the toxic effect naman, no? I feel nauseous now. It can induce vomiting and all. So there's a dose-related toxicity. So here, let's see. So remember that, 5 milligrams tsaka 75 milligrams. Ito yon. Si MEC sa baba, si MTC sa taas. Bakit ba? Minimum effective concentration, minimum toxic concentration, and ano yung dose in between. So that's what you call the therapeutic range or the therapeutic window. Ito, ha? It's the area between the MEC and the MTC. Going back to my example, 5 milligrams ang MEC, 75 milligrams ang MTC. My therapeutic window is from, let's say, 5 milligrams to 75 milligrams. And from there, you can discover na, sige, let's make a medication that's 50 milligrams. Kasi it's within the therapeutic window. That's how it works in drug dosage forms, or that's how it works in pharmaceutical science. Okay? Ayan. So another range na naman, median effective dose and median toxic dose. Okay, so median effective dose for ED50. That's the amount of drug that will produce desired effect in 50% of tested individuals. And the median toxic dose, TD50, no, amount of drug that will produce undesired effect in 50% of tested individuals. I don't know if you had in your pharmacology lab, no, the laboratory or the experiment on discovering the median toxic dose. So you might, it's also good to know, no, na what is the animal subjects that are used to find the LD50 or the lethal dose, no? Your answer there would be brine shrimp. I hope it's part of your pharmacology lab. No? So what's what you do, no, in the laboratory, brine shrimp. Yan talaga yung standard for discovering, no, or yun nga, experiment on the lethal LD50. Yan. So in between naman ng AD50 and TD50, that's what you call therapeutic index. And what's my example on the narrow therapeutic index? Diba? Si digoxin. So that's the ratio between the drugs ED50 and TD50. So take note, iba ang therapeutic index, iba ang therapeutic window or therapeutic range. Here's an illustration for you to understand it more. Si ED50 sa 50% of individuals ay, you can see it there, no? It can give you 50% of the therapeutic effect. And then the toxic effect naman, yan, TD50. The ratio in between there is what you call the therapeutic index. Next topic there is local and systemic toxicity. We're still in the spectrum. Kasi yung spectrum may pagpipilian ka. Merong local toxicity, merong systemic toxicity. Okay. So yung local effect, they occur at the site of first contact. So usually nito mga topical na mga yung sa mga telenovela, yung acido, ganon. Tapos yung mukha nila masusunog. There will be corrosion of their face. So, because it's corrosive poison. And so, site of first contact between the biological system and the toxicant. So, that's an example of a local effect. Systemic effect naman, it requires absorption and distribution of a toxicant from its entry point to a distant site at which deleterious effects are produced. And so, malayo. Ininom mo you drank it, no? Enteral, no? Per orim. Tapos yung effect, nasa ankle, no? Ang layo. No? Pag sinabi, di ba, pag sinabing, ang layo niyan sa bituka. So, systemic effect kasi. It requires absorption and distribution. Ito yung mga cardiotoxic, um, hepatotoxic, ototoxic sa ears, ayan, and nephrotoxic, ayan. Meron ding ocular toxicity, so sa mata naman, no? Okay. Another spectrum here, order of frequency of target organ toxicity. So, CNS, ito ang order ha. So, yung pinakauna dito, ito yung mostly na target organ talaga ng mga toxic substances. There's an affinity, no, to that part of the body. Central nervous system, that's your brain and spinal cord. So, in my lecture earlier, no, madaming mga sedatives, hallucinogens, because it affects your CNS. Circulatory system, so intravascular space. Yung heart, no? Veins. Next gen na target organ toxicity would be your blood and hematopoietic system. Visceral organs like your liver, kidney, and lungs, lung toxicity. Skin, and then muscles and bones. Another type of spectrum, you have direct and indirect. So yung direct toxicity, ito yung toxic effects are caused by the toxic substance itself. For indirect naman, effects as the consequences of direct effects but are not due to the action of a chemical on a tissue. Again, toxicity can be broken down into two broad categories of direct and indirect toxicity. Your direct toxicity results from a toxicant, no, acting at the site of action in or on the organism. So it's where it is, direct toxicity yan. Indirect toxicity naman occurs with a change in the physical, chemical, or biological environment. And the effect there is as a consequence, no, of the direct effects but are not due to action of a chemical on a tissue. For example ng direct toxicity, let's say, yun nga yung example ko ng acido. Pag you pour it on the skin, you splash it on the skin, no? This side of your face, no? Kasi madrama yan yung acido, bubuhusan ng acido. It will now experience an effect caused by the toxic substance itself at the site of action. So it's a bit similar to local toxicity, you see it. No? For indirect naman, it's for another. No? It's a consequence lang of that contact, of that toxic substance. Direct and indirect. Just if you understand direct toxicity, you can now formulate the meaning of indirect toxicity. Okay, interaction of chemicals. Later on the last part of my lecture naman, we'll talk about incompatibilities kasi kasama siya sa module. Diba? This module talks about toxicology, adverse reactions, and incompatibilities. So there would be, ang pinag-aaralan naman sa incompatibilities ay MOI, Mechanism of Interaction. Pag pharmacology, MOA. Pag toxicology, MOTA. Pag incompatibilities, MOI, Mechanism of Interaction. So, di bang mga interaction of chemicals? No? So, interaction can occur through various mechanisms. Merong alterations in absorption. So, example dyan yung ating activated charcoal. Ano nga ulit yung mechanism of action or interaction ng activated charcoal? When activated charcoal is ingested, it will stay in the body and the molecules of, let's say, the thing that you want to be excreted will now adsorb. Adsorb, because it will adhere to the activated charcoal. And when you excrete the activated charcoal, the poisonous molecules that are adsorbed there will go with the activated charcoal. So there's an alteration in absorption. Instead of being absorbed by the body, yung poisonous molecules, nag-adhere siya sa activated charcoal. Protein binding. Aspirin displaces warfarin. It's in the protein receptors or mga biopharm ninyo, no? So yung biopharm, you have your receptor binding or yung protein, highly protein bound. Ayan. So yung mga ganun, kailangang i-consider din. Biotransformation and excretion of the interacting toxicants. Ayan. Next. Response may increase or decrease through addition or additive effect, synergism, potentiation, and antagonism. So these four, you've heard about this, no? So yung addition or examples dyan would be organophosphates, no? There's an additive effect that may increase the toxic na endpoint. Synergism, ito. I'll take a bit of time to make you understand this example. Synergism and potentiation. Synergism, example dito, CCl4. What's CCl4? That's your carbon tetrachloride. And tetra nga, di ba? 4. Carbon tetrachloride, CCl4. When you add it with ethanol, what happens? Synergistic effect. Bakit? Carbon tetrachloride and ethanol, this is your ethyl alcohol, remember? They are individually toxic to the liver. Isipin nyo. Mag-isa lang, toxic sila to the liver. But together, naku, mas toxic pa. They produce much more liver injury than the sum of their individual effects on the liver. Okay. So, number 3 dyan, potentiation. Ano naman to, no? The thing about potentiation, one might not give a toxic effect, while the other gives a toxic effect. And when you add them together, yung wala dapat toxic effect, magbibigay siya ng toxic effect. Sige lang, I'll give you the mathematical model. May math pala dito. Example, isopropanol. Isopropanol is regarded as something that does not cause hepatotoxicity. Unlike yung kanyang sister na si ethanol, especially si methanol. Sa kanilang lang lahat, ang pinaka-evil sister ay si methanol. Because it can really cause liver fibrosis. Si isopropanol, behave lang to, hindi siya nagkukos ng liver toxicity. Pero nadadala siya ng peer pressure. When you add it with carbon tetrachloride, no? It will awaken the liver toxicity effect of isopropanol. Which I think kasi, when you're isopropanol, it could be broken down into ethanol, siguro, no? And now it will now cause your liver toxicity. Antagonism, you learn more about this on your pharmacokinetics. But for purposes of toxicology, ito yung mga antidote usually, no? Antagonism. Sige lang, I'll have a separate dito na discussion about antagonism. Ito, mathematical model. There was this meme or Facebook post dati years ago na nag-circulate na ito nga yung post, tapos sabi, only pharmacists will know. So, do you know ba anong ibig sabihin nito? 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 plus 1 equals 3. Bakit naman naging 3? Kasi synergistic. A sum of them, no, a sum of both, the effect would be greater. Ano naman yung 0 plus 1? 0 si isopropanol, 1 si carbon tetrachloride, at ang kanilang effect ay 2. Parang na-awaken si 0. So 0 plus 1 equals 2. That's potentiation. Last one there is antagonism. 1 plus 1 equals 0. No? So they negate each other hanggang sa 0 ang kanilang effect. So you understand this mathematical model. Yun nga, only pharmacists will know. Yun yung sabi sa post. Okay. So, emphasize natin to, no? Synergism comes from the Greek word synergos. Minsan may mga ganyang questions din. Sa board exam ko, 2014, may question doon. How many ml are there in 1 liter? O, paano nyo i-answer yun? No? So, meron talaga siyang mga basic na mga questions din. Okay, so don't worry, may masasagot din. But then, you have to also, it's a mixture kasi ng mga level of difficulty. But of course, may mga ganong question din pala. In my board exam, may isang question pa. How many MB are there in 1 gigabyte? Na, 'di ba? Parang bakit naman tinatanong pharmacy? Ba tong na-take ko pang engineering ba tong exam na to? So, ewan ko lang kung bakit may isang item na ganun, no? Parang, how many MB are there in 1 gigabyte? Pero that was the time naman kasi siguro na hindi pa masyadong uso yung mga USB tsaka flash drive. So, yun, mga common knowledge that can be used. Siguro sa drug informatics siya na part of pharmacy, no? Na-apply. Okay, so, yun lang yung gusto kong i-emphasize na um, as much as you need to learn about the complicated ones, I know you've heard it before, no? Don't forget about the basics. Yun nga, ilang ml lang nasa 1 liter. Baka nakalimutan nyo. So, yun. Okay, so back to synergism. In toxicology, ayan, on the second part of the slide, in toxicology, synergism refers to the effect caused when exposure to 2 or more chemicals at one time results in health effects that are greater than the sum of the effects of the individual chemicals. Naalala nyo yung mathematical model? 1 plus 1 equals 3, or pwede nga 1 plus 1 equals 4. Basta yung sum nila is greater, no, than their individual na sum of their effects, individual chemicals. Okay. Additive effect. Yan, this action occurs when the combined effect of 2 or more chemicals is equal to the sum of the effect. Ito, straightforward lang. 1 plus 1 equals 2 or 2 plus 2 equals 4, no? If effect is the most common when 2 chemicals are given together. So, yun lang. They just add their effect. No? 1 plus 1. There's no maarteng synergism or potentiation. It's just the additive effect. Potentiation, this effect results when one substance that does not normally have a toxic effect is added to another chemical, making the second chemical much more toxic. So yun nga yung example ko, isopropanol with carbon tetrachloride. So for example, 0 plus 2 is more than 2 and not just 2. Ayan. So basta, in potentiation, isang 0. May isang 0 talaga. Harmless dapat yung isa. Nadala sa peer pressure na potentiation. Okay. Antagonism. Okay, antagonism is the opposite of synergism. It is a situation where the combined effect of 2 or more compounds is less toxic than the individual effect. So for example, 4 plus 6 less than 10. No? Diba dapat 10 pag additive? Pero since antagonism, less than 10. Dun sa isang mathematical model ko, 1 plus 1 equals 0 nga. No? So they negate each other. So ito nga yung basis for many antidotes, no, for poisonings or for medical treatments. So for example, ethyl alcohol, ethanol, no, it can antagonize the toxic effects of methyl alcohol by displacing it from the enzyme that oxidizes the methanol. So yun. It's weird, no? When you have methanol poisoning, you have to give more alcohol pala in the form of ethanol. And here's the here's the mechanism of action dito, interaction, is that yung ethanol ninyo, which is something na can be ingested naman because that's where your alcoholic drinks, no, is made up of ethanol. It can be
displaced na. And methanol will not be absorbed by the body and ethanol will be absorbed na. Okay. So, yun lang yung weird dun na napopoison na nga siya ng alcohol, you'll give more alcohol. Pero in the form of ethyl alcohol, which is relatively safe naman to the body. Just don't mix it with, ano yun? Carbon tetrachloride. Nakalimutan niya na, yung sa synergism na part. Okay. So, this will be the slides, no? Tatlong slides or apat before I'll give you a break. No? So, major types of antagonism. Ayan. So, functional antagonism, chemical antagonism, mamaya merong dispositional antagonism, and lastly, receptor antagonism. Okay, let's start with functional antagonism. Ano to? So, it occurs when two chemicals counterbalance each other by producing opposite effects on the same physiologic function. Napaka-simple lang nitong functional antagonism. You just need to counterbalance lang. So for example, you have something that will cause CNS depression. And then you will give it something na CNS stimulant. Hanggang sa mag-counterbalance na sila. And okay na yung physiologic function ni patient. Antagonism, let's say functional antagonism. Si patient uminom ng antihypertensive niya, bumaba yung kanyang blood pressure. Tapos sobrang baba naman, kailangan ng medication na pampataas naman ng blood pressure. Hanggang sa mag-counterbalance yan, physiologic function ni patient, okay na. So nag-normalize niya. Stable na ang kanyang BP or kanyang blood pressure. Functional antagonism. So you need to give something that has the opposite effect. Yun lang. Constipated. And you've heard about stories na someone is experiencing diarrhea and then they take loperamide, no? Until such to the point na nag-constipation na naman sila. So now they'll take something that can induce bowel movement. So yun, parang may functional antagonism na nangyayari doon. Opposite effect. Okay. Next type of antagonism is chemical antagonism. Okay, so inactivation is simply a chemical reaction between two compounds that produces a less toxic product. So chemical antagonism, it will react with each other, no, chemically, yun nga. So the best example here, no, of chemical antagonism is chelation. Now, when I say chelation, I hope you know, no, what happens during chelation, di ba? So your calcium or your iron, no, they will chelate. They will produce these. Ang nangyayari kasi sa yung mga chelates, they are generally bigger in molecular size. So there's a harder, their absorption would take longer. No? So there's inactivation also. No? It's simply a chemical reaction between two compounds that produces a less toxic product. So example dyan ay chelator. Mga high valence ninyo na mga medications, ay mga substances. Yeah. Okay? Dispositional antagonism, and the last one, the next one for this would be receptor antagonism. So yung dispositional antagonism, it occurs when the absorption, biotransformation, distribution, or excretion of a chemical is altered so that the concentration and or duration of the chemical at the target organ are diminished. Paano yun? Dispositional. You want to parang guluhin yung kaniyang absorption. So for example, in absorption, I've tackled about this. I've emphasized already in activated charcoal. Na yun nga, nag-a-adsorb yung poisonous molecules into the activated charcoal instead na ma-absorb siya sa body. Nakuha? No? I hope that's clear. How about ipecac? Ano ba to? Ito yung ipecac syrup. Ano yung ipecac syrup? You have to associate it with emetic. Okay? So ano yung nag-i-induce ng emesis? That's your ipecac. Okay? So you will interrupt the absorption by causing emesis. Nakuha? Ayan. So ipecac. Next example there for dispositional antagonism would be biotransformation or metabolism through enzyme inhibition or enzyme induction. Okay? Or you induce. So you give something that's an enzyme inhibitor. O alam niyo yung HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor. Ano yon? Yung mga statins ninyo, 'di ba? HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor. Usually, yung mga enzyme, mga ACE yan, no? Lactase, ayan. Yung ating reductase, and dehydrogenase, yan. So you drink, say for example, yun nga yung HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor. So it's an enzyme inhibitor para sa inyong, ano ba yung statin? It can lower cholesterol, di ba? So you drink that, ayan. So there will be a biotransformation or the metabolism would be slowed down because it's inhibition. For induction naman, di ba? You're increasing the activity of the enzymes. You induce, no? You encourage them. So yung metabolism, what happens? It's faster. Madaming enzymes that will metabolize, ganyan. So it will be faster. It will be excreted earlier, no? From the body. So yun yung inhibition and induction. Excretion. Ito, methamphetamines and ammonium chloride. Yan. So yun nga, it will increase the yung parang excretion ng methamphetamines daw when you drink when you administer ammonium chloride. It will go with the ammonium chloride. Last type of antagonism, receptor antagonism. This is more commonly encountered in your pharmacokinetics, your biopharmaceutics, no? Mga receptor antagonists. Or receptor antagonist. So this occurs, ano ba to? When two chemicals that bind to the same receptor produce less of an effect when given together than the addition of their separate effects. So less of an effect. Or when one chemical antagonizes the effect of the second chemical. This is your receptor antagonists often are termed blockers. Yan yan, nag-aagawan sila sa receptor up to the point na yung blocker yung mag-adhere or magbabind sa receptor, tapos yung poisonous substance na floating lang, hindi siya ma-absorb. So yun. So it's good to give your blockers. Receptor antagonists often are termed blockers. Okay. One last. Include ko na lang to, tolerance. Very quick lang. Diba? Alam niyo yung hypersensitivity, yung mga allergies ninyo, how you react, no? Sensitive. Sensitive